The Velveteen Rabbit. Once upon a time, there was a velveteen rabbit made from soft fur, with ears lined with pink satin. When he was given to the boy on Christmas morning, he was the best present. At first, the boy thought the Velveteen Rabbit was wonderful, but then he put him away in the cupboard. "What is real?" said the Velveteen Rabbit asked the toys in the cupboard one day. "It's what you become when a child really loves you," explained the hobby horse. "I was made real a long time ago by the boy's uncle. It can take a very long time. By the time you're real, some of your fur has dropped out. But it doesn't matter, because once you're real, you can't be ugly." One night, when Nanny was putting the boy to bed, she couldn't find his favorite toy, so she grabbed the Velveteen Rabbit by his ear. "Here, take your old bunny," she said, and from that night on, the Velveteen Rabbit slept with the boy. At first, it was a bit uncomfortable. The boy would hug him so tightly that the Velveteen Rabbit could hardly breathe. But soon he grew to love sleeping with the boy. And when the boy went to sleep, the rabbit would snuggle down and dream about becoming real. The Velveteen Rabbit went wherever the boy went. He had rides in the wheelbarrow and picnics on the grass. He was so happy that he didn't notice that his fur was getting shabby. One day, the boy left the rabbit on the lawn. At bedtime, Nanny came to fetch the rabbit because the boy couldn't go to sleep without him. "Imagine all that fuss about a toy," said Nanny. "He isn't a toy, he is real," cried the boy. When the rabbit heard these words, he was filled with joy. He was real. The boy himself had said so. Late one afternoon, the boy left the rabbit in the woods while he went to pick some flowers. Suddenly, two strange creatures appeared. They looked like the Velveteen Rabbit, but they were wild rabbits. "Why don't you come and play with us?" one of them asked. "I don't want to," said the Velveteen Rabbit. He didn't want to tell them that he couldn't move, but all the time he was longing to dance like them. One of the wild rabbits danced so close to the Velveteen Rabbit that it brushed against his ear. Then it wrinkled up its nose and jumped backward. "He doesn't smell right," the wild rabbit cried. He isn't a rabbit at all. He isn't real. I am real, said the Velveteen Rabbit. The boy said so. Just then, the boy ran past and the wild rabbits disappeared. Come back and play, called the Velveteen Rabbit, but there was no answer. Finally, the boy took him home. A few days later, the boy fell sick. Nanny and a doctor fussed around his bed. No one took any notice of the Velveteen Rabbit, snuggled beneath the blankets. Then, little by little, the boy got better. The rabbit listened to Nanny and the doctor talk. They were going to take the boy to the seashore. Hooray! Thought the rabbit, who couldn't wait to go too. But the Velveteen Rabbit was put into a sack and carried to the bottom of the garden, ready to be put on the bonfire. That night, the boy slept with a new toy. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the garden, the Velveteen Rabbit was feeling lonely and cold. He wiggled until his head poked out of the sack and looked around. He remembered all the fun he had with the boy. He thought about the wise horse. He wondered what use it was being loved and becoming real if he ended up alone. A real tear trickled down his velvet cheek onto the ground. Then a strange thing happened. A tiny flower sprouted out of the ground. The petals opened, and out flew a tiny fairy. Little rabbit, she said, I am the nursery fairy. When toys are old and worn and children don't need them anymore, I take them away and make them real. Wasn't I real before? Asked the rabbit. You were real to the boy, the fairy said. But now you shall be real to everyone. The fairy caught hold of the Velveteen Rabbit and flew with him into the woods when the wild rabbits were playing. I've brought you a new playmate, said the fairy, and she put the Velveteen Rabbit down on the grass. The little rabbit didn't know what to do. Then something tickled his face, and before he knew what he was doing, he lifted his leg to scratch his nose. He could move. The little rabbit jumped into the air with joy. He was real at last. The Velveteen Rabbit happily jumped into the woods with all other wild rabbits. live there happily ever after. Thank you for listening, boys and girls.